G'day guys, how's it going? In this tutorial we're going to be looking at how to sight read music like a pro in 3 easy steps. Now a lot of people find sight reading music incredibly difficult, basically because most of us place too much importance on the alphabetical system, and using a mnemonic such as every good boy deserves fruit or face in the space is a rather slow method. It's easier to find your way around the stave by using a number system and simply counting through each space or line as a number. And here is an example of this, and as you can see that each note going higher goes one number higher. And of course number 1 starts on a line, number 2 in a space, number 3 next line, 4 next space, 5 the next line, 6 the next space, 7 the next line, and 1 the next space. And for all you mathematicians out there, you could even think of the musical stave like a graph, the x-axis being pitch and the y-axis being time. However, I better not go on about this because I think those who are not into maths will just be scared off by this concept. So let's get into our 3 steps. In the first step, we need to figure out what key we are playing in, or to put it another way, which line or space is the first note of the major scale you will be using to play the piece of music we have in front of us. To do this, we need to look at the key signature, which is the group of accidentals in between the treble clef, or the clef, depending on which one you're playing in, and the time signature. Now, if you find it difficult to remember your key signatures, here is a trick to help you to work out any key signature that uses sharp keys. All we need to do is look at the very furthest sharp on the right, and this sharp here is the 7th degree, or the 7th note of our major scale. And so that basically means that if we go up one more note or one more line here, we will now have the first note of our major scale, which means that this line here is going to be 1. At this point, all we need to do is find out which alphabetical is this first note. This is where our mnemonic will come in handy. Every good boy deserves, and deserves is where our 1 is, so that means that we're going to be playing in the key of D. So all we need to do is figure out what these numbers are now. So 1 is on the line, and then there's 7 in the space, 6 on the line, 5 in the space, 4 on the line, 3 in the space, 2 on the line, and so this is 1. Then we move on to the next note. So on this line it's going to be 2, and so in the space it's going to be 3. On the next line higher is going to be 4. And then the space lower is 3, and then here is on the line, this is 2, and then below is 1. Then we go 2 is on the line, 3 is in the space, 2 is on the line, 1 is in the space, and then 2 is on the line, 3 is in the space, so that's 4, dropping back down 1, which is 3, and then 2 is on the line, 1 is in the space, 2 is on the line, 3 is in the space, then there's 4, 3, 2 is on the line, and then that is 1. And you don't need to worry about these because these are actually percussive claps. Okay, so step 2, now we need to know where we're going to play the song on your instrument. We can do this by working out where the notes are in relation to the middle C on the stave and on your instrument. Okay, so here we have middle C, and as we can see, D is 1 note higher. The next thing we need to do is work out where middle C is on your instrument. Now it's beyond this tutorial to explain where middle C is on every instrument. However, if you do a quick Google search and type in such as where is middle C on the ... and insert the name of your instrument, I'm sure you will find it. One thing I should point out here is if you don't care what range you're going to play the song in, then you can actually skip this step altogether, which would actually make this method a 2-step method, which would be even easier. Once you have done this, we can now move on to the third and final step, and that is to play the major scale that you have found in step 1 on your instrument. In our example, we discovered that 1 is D. So now you will need to know how to play the D major scale on your instrument, and instead of thinking of it in alphabeticals, you now want to think of it in terms of numbers. Let me demonstrate this on my piano using my piano slide rule. Okay, so here we have our piano slide rule sitting on our piano, and as we can see, the number 1 is starting on D here. And then if I play through the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. Now that you know where the numbers are on your instrument, you can now play the song easily by following the numbers on the music we have in front of us. Here are a couple of tips I highly recommend. When you're first starting out, write in the numbers above the notes to get familiar with this new method, like I have done here. Also, when you practice your major scales, say the numbers out loud as you play each note. So, what has been your experience with sight reading music? I know in the beginning for me it was a real struggle, especially using the alphabetical system. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave your experience and questions in the comments. And if you'd like to see more tutorials like this, please hit the subscribe button so you're notified when the next one is released. Thanks guys, and see you in the next tune. Bye!